Hi, I'm Tyson with Adventure Rig. Callie and I have been down here in Baja for about the last 6 weeks doing a lot of kiteboarding. Mixed in with that, we've also been mountain biking in the mornings or running. So what does that mean? Well, our muscles at the end of the day are usually pretty sore. In the mornings, I'm stiff. A couple years ago, I did have back surgery for a blown out disc where they had to remove the material from that disc. So I've kind of always had back issues since then. And that's when I found out about a TENS unit, was after my back surgery in physical therapy. And I got a cheap one off of Amazon. It worked okay, but it was nothing special. I didn't really know how to work it. I basically would just go to one setting and that's all I would use. Well, I've been blown away now because I've tried out the PowerDot 2.0. And this is like a TENS unit on steroids. I'm not gonna go through every single feature that this has because it would be a 30-minute video, but I do just really wanna touch on some of the key things that I like about it. Also, a lot of the things that it can do and it has the ability to do, and then maybe some things that I've noticed that I don't necessarily love about it. To start with, this is an app-based unit. So if I open it up, you can see that I have these two power dots right here. This is all wireless. So they do send you a lot of different cables and they're different lengths. So depending on where you're putting these on your body, these are the pads. You literally may have the pads as close as they currently are on this sheet where you can use a really short cable. But if the pads are spread out a little bit further, they do provide longer cables for you. One thing that's really cool about all of this, it's all magnetic. So when these dots go onto these pads, they literally stick onto them and click into place easily because they're magnetic. Also, the power unit itself is the same deal. It's also magnetic and it clips into place on its own. Once you have all of these placed, all you have to do is take this tiny little plug end and you plug it into place, turn it on, and you're literally ready to go. I love that about this. I don't have a bunch of wires hanging out of my shirt when I stick it on my back. I can easily apply this and then let it go for an hour, and I can do a ton of stuff with this on my back going, and I don't have wires everywhere. I love that. It's extremely simple. They also have included with it a recharging cable so that you can easily charge both of the units at once because it's split. Now, one thing I've noticed is that these kind of seem like magic because every time I think that, oh, you know, I've been using this for 3 days, I have maybe 3 or 4 hours of use on it, I need to recharge it, I look at them and they're at 50 or 60%. They just really last a long time. Now, these pads do have little grips on the very top of them so that you don't actually have to touch the sticky material with your fingertips. What another really cool feature is about these is that in the app, you can actually go inside and you can see how many sessions you have on your pads because PowerDot recommends not more than 25 sessions for the pads. Once they get to that amount of sessions, they recommend replacing the pads. Now, I bought replacement pads because I wasn't sure how well these would hold up. I have 18 sessions on this particular set. There's not any problems with them. I think they would go well over 25, but that's just what PowerDot recommends. And like I said, it keeps track of it on its own in the app. So if we open this app up, you can see that there's a lot of information going on. And like I said, this is like a TENS unit on steroids because it does so much more and it's extremely easy to use. So on the very home page that I have opened, you can see that they actually give you a lot of information about your body and about yourself and about TENS units and all that stuff, like how to build muscle faster, why are my muscles sore, what does a TENS unit do? All of this great information if you are so inclined to read it. Now, if I go over one, you can see that it actually keeps track of workout history. So it gives you your max intensity, your completeness, the total time that you've been doing it, different muscle groups that you've been working, total activities, average intensity. Again, very much full of information. If I go over to this middle tab, this is where all of the nitty-gritty gets done. You can see that we have performance, wellness, smart pain relief, smart recovery, and focus on. Also at the top, you can see the two that I use the most are my lower back muscle as well as the lumbar lower back. So it's great because it knows I use those the most. It puts them there and I can easily get to them without having to scroll through a bunch or have to remember where I was. But as an example, we're going to go to performance, and you can see that it gives you a little bit of a paragraph at the top explaining what the performance is, and then you can choose different programs in there for, say, muscle endurance or strength endurance. So if I click on strength endurance, now it gives you recommended muscle groups to focus on, and you can scroll through those. Now, if you go down, you can also see other at the bottom. If I were to click on the quad, it tells you, hey, this is actually not recommended for the quad group, but resistance is. So do you want to click on resistance and go with that, or do you want to ignore it and run the current program even though we don't suggest that? So it's very, very user intuitive and user friendly. Now if I go back to this workouts page, you can also see that about halfway down we have smart pain relief. This is what I use a lot because I'm in pain a lot. You can literally scroll through here and you can choose whatever part of your body is hurting. So let's just click on your palm. When you open that up, it asks you, is it acute pain or is it chronic pain? We're gonna say that it's acute pain. All right, is it related to an injury or is it post-surgical nature? Let's go that it's related to an injury. What is your maximum level of pain? We're gonna go that it's a 7. Create program. This actually does everything for you and creates the program that you need, and it puts it up there in your workout. So I'm gonna click on palm, continue, and it literally shows me exactly where I need to place the units on my hand. Once they're there and everything's connected, where it says disconnected, that'll then say connected, and you can start your workout, and it gives you the amount of time to go, and you just literally let it do its thing. So I understand that what I just rambled through was kind of a lot of information, but I just want to give you an idea of the user interface and how this works. But this goes very, very in depth on a lot of different muscle groups if you're in pain or if you want to work out, or if you're doing some kind of recovery program and you want to do it 1 to 5 times a week. You can do all of that in this app. I love it. It also comes with a manual if you so choose. Now I was curious to know if I could work this without reading the manual first, and it is very user-friendly. Again, I was able to get everything connected, go through this, figure out what I wanted to do, and I didn't have to read the manual. But it is there, it is helpful to read. There's a ton of great information in it, especially near the back. You can go through and you can see different photos of different muscle groups and where people are placing the units to work those muscle groups. Again, just very helpful to have. What don't I like about it? I think that it's not necessarily something about this TENS unit. It's kind of just technology in general, but there have been a couple times where I've had some issues trying to connect these PowerDot units to the app. And I honestly can't even say that it's the fault of the PowerDot, because it could be something going on with my phone. I kind of feel like the whole Bluetooth is almost voodoo magic. Sometimes it just doesn't work. So at times I've had to turn off Bluetooth, turn these guys off, close the app, get rid of it, and try to connect everything back on. And it's taken 3 or 4 tries to get it to all connect. Again, I'm not even sure that's necessarily this, but it could be my phone, it could just be technology. However, with that said, I would hands down any day choose all of this over my old crappy tens unit that has all these wires hanging out and does not even compare or come close to comparing to this unit. Also, it is a little bit expensive. At about $349, it's not your $40 or $50 cheap tens unit. However, I think that you can clearly see this is way, way more than a cheap tens unit. And what I've noticed is that using this, it really gets to the areas that I need to work in my back better than the cheap tens unit did. So after using that guy, it felt fine, but by the end of it, it's like, oh yeah, I guess it's working, whatever. This though, I can tell is working very well. At the end of it, I can tell that my back definitely does feel better, and it's just so much easier to use. Now, a concern that I did have is this is the power button on the very top. I wasn't sure if I had it on my back, say I was sitting in this chair, would I press on this button and actually turn the power off on it? And I found that I don't. So it's recessed just a little bit, and I haven't had any problem with these turning off on their own. Now, with that said, you can see that these are a little bit larger. So if I'm sitting in like a plastic chair or a wooden chair, these are uncomfortable on my back. But in the van, I've worn them for an hour at a time, sitting on road trips, and it's not an issue whatsoever. Everything just kind of sinks into the seat, and they're very comfortable for an hour, hour and a half at a time. Again, this is the PowerDot 2.0. This one obviously comes with 2 units. If you wanted to save a little bit of money, you could get the unit that only comes with 1 of these. So 1 set of pads, 1 of these. If you didn't want the full meal deal, it is a way to save a little bit of money. If you guys have any questions about this, feel free to leave them in the comment section below and we'll get back to you. Again, I know this was a little bit of a longer review and I didn't even dive too much into this, but I just wanted to give you a good idea of how it all works. If you have other questions about it though, feel free to ask them in the comments and I'll definitely get back to you. If you guys are wondering where we are or what we're up to, check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Adventure Rig. Thanks again for watching. I'm Tyson with Adventure Rig.